The following program is sponsored by the Today's Home Remodeler television network.
Welcome to today's Home Remodeler. I'm Stuart Keith, and on today's show, we're walking through the design and installation of a heating and cooling system for a new home. We'll begin with our heating and cooling specialist, Larry Hacker from Temperature Systems, who explains the importance of design in creating an efficient and effective HVAC system in new home construction. We'll then share some advice on what to look for when selecting a new heating system for your home. And we'll finish up today's show explaining the importance of preventative maintenance in keeping your new system operating at its peak efficiency. So we have a lot to cover today, and we'll get started right after these messages. When building a new home, proper design of the HVAC system is extremely important for indoor air quality and comfort. So let's begin today's show with Larry Hacker from Temperature Systems, out at a new home construction project where he explains the homeowner's role in the process. Well, Larry, the house is at a very early rough stage here, but it looks like the guys have arrived. They've set the furnace and they're ready to install it?
Yeah, that's what they're working on right now. They've located the furnace where the builder wants it located and for the best heating opportunities within the space for how they're going to eventually finish off and use the basement.
And looking behind you here, it looks like some of the stuff is prefabricated.
Right, that's a nice part. They'll pre-measure. They've made all of these things in the shop ahead of time, and then they're bringing it out for the job site. So they've looked at the plans. The plans were designed. From there, they design all of the ductwork, and then they'll have all of the items that they need to be able to get in and out of here. Usually they can rough in a day.
Wow, in a day on a house of this size, that's pretty efficient. And all that prefabrication and having a good design to begin with, that all plays into it?
Absolutely. Full heating load is done on them, and then from there, a duct layout is critical. All of the ducts that we see in here are sized specifically for the application and for the heat loss and cooling load of the building.
Okay, so let's step back now before we get into the installation process and see the guys in action and talk about the importance of design, because long before you get to this stage of the construction process where they're starting the install, it has to be designed. Who's in charge of designing an HVAC system?
Can be a couple options. One, the heating contractor can do it, or in many cases they'll go back to distribution like what we do. We will do the design work on behalf of the dealers, and then the dealers obviously have the correspondence or discussions with the homeowners. So all of that information is critical for the proper design, proper component selection. This in particular is a 95 AFU furnace. That is what was specified for this particular project.
Okay, so when you talk about design and you assisting the contractor, you said the homeowner's also involved with providing information. Is that pretty important? I mean, to me, it would seem like as a homeowner, I know my lifestyle more, and those type of factors should come into play, right?
Absolutely. Those are very important factors to have in play so that you understand the homeowner's input is critical. How are they going to use the space? How are they going to maybe design or finish a basement off 2 years from now? Those types of information pieces are necessary so that they can incorporate up front where it's much more cost effective to do it right away, adding in the options that they're going to possibly need in the future. They may want zoning. In this particular home, they're not zoning. But in the other ones we'll look at later, they are.
Okay, and so as a homeowner, I should probably set up a time to spend an hour or two on the design front with my heating contractor. So talk to my builder if I'm building a new home and say, hey, I want to talk to my heating professional and design a system around my wants, needs, desires, around my family's lifestyle. And not only the furnace and air conditioner, but also all the add-ons that affect indoor air quality?
Exactly, exactly. Today's a prime day. It's going to be hot, humid, and the pollen count's high. Do the homeowners have allergies? Should we be putting in a good filtration system to eliminate or reduce the tendencies for indoor air quality issues? The homeowner needs to be involved. What do I need? Where do I want comfort? Obviously, the entire space needs to be comfortable. And so that's where it's critical to talk to them on what they're going to do in the spaces as well and what their individual lifestyles are.
And I think about how many people have a mother-in-law suite or a bonus bedroom in the back that maybe their children who've gone off to college, they come back once in a while. You don't need to condition that space all the time.
Correct, exactly. So you could have that in an uncomfortable temperature, saving energy, but while somebody is occupying it, now we condition it to where they're comfortable.
And then I'm also getting out of you, don't just think of a furnace as a box. Think about furnace, air conditioning, indoor air quality, all the different factors. Is it fair to say you get your best value and you get one chance to do it when you do it right from the get-go?
Absolutely. Your quickest and cheapest time to do it is right up front, because that's when the folks are there. They're not having to make a second trip. We don't have to come in and do a retrofit. You can see all the ductwork we've already created. Mm-hmm. Now they would have to come back in and modify that ductwork to be able to accommodate those add-ons after the fact, which adds labor and cost to the job.
Sure. Okay, well, let's get into the ductwork. How important is the ductwork that's going to connect to this unit?
The ductwork is kind of the lifeblood or the circulatory system of the home. So if you think about it that way, the duct has to be sized correctly for the load. We need to be able to get the air from here to heat or cool the far end of the buildings, so we have to have that the proper size. If you size it too small, they're going to have inadequate heating and cooling. If you size it too large, you're not going to have enough volume when you get to the other end where you get the velocities coming out of the ductwork. So it's a critical measurement and calculation that's done on every home to be able to ensure that you have the right size ductwork in each location.
So at the end of the day, as a homeowner, make sure that you spend time designing your system with your heating contractor, and make sure your contractor is experienced so that they can install it properly and you're going to enjoy a nice, comfortable home for as long as you live in it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well, let's get out of their way. They can get started on the ductwork, and we'll pick it up a little further along.
All right.
Stick around. We'll discuss what factors should be considered when selecting a new furnace next. In our last segment, we learned why a homeowner should pay close attention to the design of their home's HVAC system. Now let's continue with Larry Hacker from Temperature Systems, who shares some advice on what to consider when selecting a new furnace. Wow, Larry, that's a beautiful installation job, and I can see what you mean now by prefabbing and how it increases the efficiency of the installation.
Yeah, it really shortens the time that the installers have to be on the job site, which is critical for the construction process. As a builder, they want to get the mechanicals in and out of here as quick as possible so they can get the next step of construction handled at those times.
Yeah, and I'd venture to guess that it maintains the quality, if not raises it, because you're building that off-site in a controlled environment. You simply bring it out here and like pieces to a puzzle, you put it together.
Right. It's all tied together, it's all measured, it's already prefabbed. You're not doing anything here on site to tie up other mechanicals and slowing them down.
Sure, and you know, I just love seeing a house at this stage of the construction process. And would you recommend a homeowner going through it actually visit the site, talk to their builder, come out here? And we talked about the importance of having a good design. Can things change if they see something that that they want to move?
Sure. In a case here, the heating contractor typically is going to put in the venting, whether it be for the bath fans and or in this case for the kitchen. And we can see here they weren't 100% sure where the range is going to go, so they've accommodated the flexibility with this installation for them to come in and make those changes accordingly. This is already now installed for them. When the appliances come, they'll connect into this, it'll be vented outside. But this is done by the heating contractor.
Wow, they did such a beautiful job there. I like looking at nice work. Now you said this is for the kitchen range. What about the bath fans and say a dryer vent?
Yep, they do the same things there. They've pre-piped or pre-vented for the bath fans that are being put in typically by the electrician, and they've already put the venting in for the dryer as well.
Okay, now over here are some of the supply registers. Actually, I really like what they did here, covering it with netting. But is it possible to move these if something changed? Say you got different cabinetry than you originally thought of.
Yeah, that's the important part of having some time spent with a heating contractor ahead of time so that we know what is going to be the layout. And the nice touch you pointed out here very nicely, they put screening over it once it's installed. As you can see, there's dust, dirt, and debris. It keeps that from going back down into your supply ducts. We want to have a clean installation. That's what they're doing by providing that. A very simple touch.
Yeah, nice attention to detail, conscientious contractor. I analogize it to stepping into the homeowner's shoes. If this were my home, I'd want it clean from the get-go.
Right from the start.
Okay, let's spend just a few minutes here on the furnace or heating system selection process. And do you have any advice for a homeowner?
Yeah, you've got choices today. Basically, you're going to be in the upper 90% AFU, so that portion hasn't changed. But do I want a single stage, two-stage, or modulating? That's why it's important for the end user to meet with a heating contractor ahead of time. They can make those decisions. The variable speed that we have today in the blower motors, we can save a lot of money in operational costs for the consumer. They can add good humidification, good filtration, and the consumer can then run the fan all of the time, so we're cleaning the air 24/7 at a very economical cost.
Oh, so if I have an old, say, 85 or 90% efficient furnace on the gas side, but I don't have one of these DC drive ECM motors and I want good indoor air quality, I'm going to have to run that, which I can do, but it's going to cost me a lot more than if I just paid a little bit more for a higher end furnace.
Absolutely, and with today's electrical rates, if you go to a DC drive motor, much like we go to a LED light bulb today, saves a ton of money. And really, when we want to clean the air with good filtration, you want to move the airflow all of the time. We need that higher efficiency motor to do it cost effectively. You'll save between $300 and $400 a year annually by running that fan continuously with that high-end motor, and you're going to have good, clean, fresh air all of the time you're in the home.
Well, if you're saving that much money annually, that probably more than offsets the additional cost to select an upgraded model.
Absolutely. There's a great return on investment for that. It's a small cost up front, but you're going to have a savings over the next 15 to 18 years. You have that furnace.
Okay, and then what about add-ons? We're talking about moving the air continuously through the house for indoor air quality and comfort. Mm-hmm. That centers all around better filtration, right?
Absolutely. You've got choices in filtration, from the standard 1-inch disposable all the way up through the 4-inch electronic, which is going to go ahead and do capture and kill, which is great for anybody that has allergies. The other thing we should consider right away, humidification, so we can add humidity in the wintertime. Also, a fresh air, an ERV or an energy recovery ventilator for proper ventilation to introduce cooler, drier air, and we can, at that point, be able to control humidity summer and winter.
Okay, let's take the situation that I'm buying a spec home, and I show up and there's already a furnace in place. Can I still add some of these add-ons to my system to enjoy all the benefits that they provide?
Yeah, you can definitely do the add-ons. The catches is if you can get them while they're doing the installations, it's going to be much cheaper to put it in right at the front end versus after the fact. It can be done, but your best bet is to meet with that contractor up front and get the accessories added in at the time of installation. It's going to save them money. It's going to give them a much better system right out of the gate.
Sure. Well, it really seems to me that in this home building process, you want to set aside some time early on, like we alluded to. Meet with your heating contractor. Understand all your options. Don't be afraid to spend a little bit more at the beginning to reap the rewards down the road.
It's much cheaper to do it up front than to have them come back and do additions later.
Stick around. Next, we'll learn how preventative maintenance can keep your home's HVAC system running at its peak efficiency. Earlier in today's show, we learned why when building a new home, homeowners should have input in the design of their HVAC system. And we also discussed what you should consider when selecting a new furnace for your home. Now let's finish up with Larry Hacker from Temperature Systems, who explains the benefits to preventative maintenance on a home's heating and cooling system. Wow, Larry, what a beautiful looking furnace. This home is a little further along in the construction process, almost ready for move-in. And as I look at it, it looks great to me, but what can a homeowner look at to know if it's a quality job?
Well, some of the things to take a look at, you knew the installers took pride in their work. If you take a look, this is a long run. It is perfectly straight, going all the way down the length of the house.
So general appearance is what you're saying. You can tell if it looks good on the outside, chances are it's a good install on the inside?
Absolutely. They did a quality job here, and you can tell by how it's installed.
Okay, so obviously it's nearing the end of the construction process. A homeowner moves into a new house. What do they need to know as far as startup and operation?
Yeah, those are the key things. The startup and operation of it, you need to understand how to run the thermostat in order to be able to properly control and condition. I would strongly recommend a couple weeks after you're in the home, when your mind is clear from the big move, take some time to have the contractor come back out and explain the systems to you. They will go through checking your filter, how to clean it, how to change it, those types of things, what typical operation is. The other thing that they will go through is what is the preventative maintenance that they would like to do professionally. Cleaning the coil, cleaning the outdoor unit, ensuring that the blower and the firing rate is taking proper operation each time.
Is that where those ongoing maintenance plans come into play? I mean, are those a good value generally for a homeowner?
Yeah, they're very good. You think of your car and the amount of maintenance that's done. This product is going to sit down here and work for usually 15, 18 years. It needs to be taken care of, much like any other mechanical piece of equipment. Having that serviced on an annualized basis, and there's a lot of the companies today will have maintenance agreements. It's an agreement that you're already going to set up ahead of time, so they'll come out and do the proper settings and checking to make sure that you're not going to have the type of potential outages that you could have.
You know, that makes sense to me, and what a great analogy you brought up with your vehicle. Look to the future. With your car, you're not going to let it go 20,000 miles without an oil change. So is it a good idea to look at your heating system the same way? Do a little preventative maintenance and professional maintenance, and you're going to get your best longevity out of the system?
Right, you're going to get extra years of service and higher efficiency through that preventative maintenance process. You're paying for a high efficiency. That way you're going to sustain the efficiency throughout the life of the equipment.
And another thing just popped into my mind, if you can develop that relationship with the heating contractor when your need arises, let's say that something does happen right around Christmas time or at Thanksgiving and you have a party going on, you can bet if you have a good relationship with your heating contractor, they're going to service you.
Absolutely. That definitely would put you at the top of the list to getting the service. And we all know today the trades are suffering for people getting into the industry.
Okay, so keep a good relationship, not only with your heating and cooling contractor, but any of the trades that work on your home, that's for sure.
Oh, that would, yes.
Okay, well, let's wrap up with any words of advice to avoid an unnecessary service call. It's happened to all of us that are homeowners, and it usually turns out to be something simple, and you go, oh, why didn't I think of that? Yeah. But could you shed some light on that?
Yeah, some of the basics. We have sidewall vented equipment today, which means the exhaust and intake go to the outside along the sidewall. If the snow is blowing and there's drifts up against the house, there is a chance that that vent could get covered up with snow. So if they have a no heat situation, take a look at that. Another one is filter maintenance. If they haven't changed the filter in a while or looked at it, if that is clogging up, you're going to have an issue there. The other thing is real simple, is make sure that the thermostat switches to the on position for cooling or heating, depending on the situation. There's endless amounts of opportunities there, as well as circuit breakers to look at too.
Sure, I've even heard where condensate lines get plugged up and the furnace is smart enough to know that it can't run if it's being plugged up.
Right.
And so it shuts itself down.
Yeah, with today's condensing furnaces, you're going to have a drain. They've done a great job here of hard piping it, so chances of this getting kinked isn't there. However, there are some installations where they use hose, and those hoses could get kinked, again, giving you that condensate backup, creating a problem that is unnecessary.
Well, you know, Larry, it's been very enjoyable on today's show. I love being at construction sites and walking through the building process and just seeing behind all the walls. It's very educational, and what I learned on today's show is that when it comes to selecting a heating and cooling system with your home, it's not just going and buying a furnace. It starts much earlier than that. Get intimately involved with the heating contractor on the design process, and you're going to end up with your best value. And if you invest early on, you're going to reap the benefits of a quality heating and cooling system. Appreciate you coming on, Larry.
Thank you.
The preceding program was sponsored by the Today's Home Remodeler television network.